tears flowed like rain that night. That night they took his life, and people gathered around to see, had he really died? The stars fell and the angels wept. The earth opened up her side with 750 guns, and on his face a smile, a smile. And how they tried to conquer what they could not understand, and how their hearts were blinded, for he was more than a man.
In the official residence and in the presence of the governor, Nasruddin Mirza, the young prince, and a group of Shia leaders gave in ringing tones the celebrated answer to the question put to him by the president of that assembly. I am, he exclaimed. I am the promised one.
Just before noon, July 9th, the Bab was giving his last instruction to his secretary when the attendant came to take him to his execution. What are you still doing here? You have been waiting around here since yesterday. We have business with your friend here. Get out. When the attendant interrupted the Bab's conversation with his secretary, the Bab said to him, "Not until I have said all those things that I wish to say can any earthly power silence me. Though all the world be armed against me, yet they shall be powerless to deter me from fulfilling to the last word my intention."
Noon, July 9th, 1850, Tabriz, Persia. An event occurred which finds its only parallel in the crucifixion of Christ 18 centuries earlier. Before a multitude of 10,000 people, a man called the Bab, the founder of a new faith, was set all Persia in turmoil, was publicly executed. It is estimated that within a 6 short years of his ministry, he rose up 1 million followers.
Tabriz.
Who do you claim to be?
چی میخوای بگی؟
What is the message which have you brought?
Noon, July 9th,
1850.
Tabriz,
Persia,
the Bab
the manifestation of God.
the promised one.
was executed.
Oh God!
No, no!
The Bab is executed?
He really was the manifestation of God.
Oh God, forgive us for what we have done to him.
Our eyes were blind. We didn't see him, we didn't hear him.
We didn't recognize him.
Oh God.
God.
The Bab is executed.
My name is Dr. Kromic. I met the Bab at prison of Tabriz, where I worked as a physician for the court of the Shah. A fellow colleague of mine, Dr. Larabi, has asked me to send him an information about my interview with the prisoner. I will read you my reply. You have asked of some particular person the founder of the sect Babis. Nothing has transpired in this interview, as the Bab knew of my being and my two other colleagues to whether decide he's a madman or a sane mind, to help decide to put him to death or not. With all this knowledge, he was loath to answer any questions put to him. He regarded us with a mild look, and he chanted for us with a melodious voice. He regarded me very intently, that one day all Europeans will come towards his religion. My reply at that time to the Shah was to spare his life. A few days after, he was put to death. He was beaten by a bastinado, a beating stick that used across the feet, but intentionally or not. He was crossed against the face. I asked him, should I call for physicians? He told me, do what you're supposed to do. So I treated him for a couple days. He was a very kind man and very delicate. Of his doctrine, I have never heard anything from his own lips, although certain approach towards Christianity. He was seen by two Persian carpenters who used to work at the prison at that time, reading a Bible. He had no pain to conceal it. In fact, he told them of it. The Muslim fanaticism does not exist in his religion, as it exists in Christianity, nor the restraint of women. That includes my impressions. I hope you found them helpful. Yours sincerely, Dr. Kromic.
I knew him well. He was my son. He was born October 20th, 1819 in Shiraz. He was a beautiful baby. He was very content. I knew he was special and different than the other children. As a little child, he was very serene and gentle. He was still very young when my husband passed away. My brother became his guardian and insisted that he go to school. He took him to school, and the very next day, the teacher brought him back saying that he was a gifted child and he was in no need of any education. But my brother insisted that he go back. He was a very devout child and prayed a lot. He was late for school on many occasions, and the teacher asked him why, and he would say that he was in his father's house. You see, we are descendants of Muhammad, and we often use that phrase when we refer to prayer. When he was 10, the teacher told him that for a child at that age, he need not spend so much time in prayer. But he said that he wanted to be just like his grandfather. Soon after, the headmaster brought him back to my brother and said that this child was in no need of any education, that he was gifted in anything, that if anything, he was teaching the teachers. He knew more than they did. When he was 17, my brother took him to Bashir to become a merchant. The merchants there held him in great esteem for his honesty and his truthfulness. When he was 22, he returned home, and I arranged a marriage with my neighbor's daughter, Khadija. They made a beautiful couple. They were very much in love. In a short time, I realized that Khadija was going to have a baby. When her time was due, she was having a very difficult delivery. I was afraid she was going to die. I went to my son and I asked him to help her. He picked up a mirror and wrote a prayer on it. I took it very quickly to my daughter-in-law, and soon after the baby was born. They named him Ahmed, but his life was short with us. I was so angry with my son. I went to him and I said, "Why couldn't you have helped your son with your power?" He merely said that it was not his destiny to have any children. Soon after that, the storm of trouble, the Bab went on pilgrimage, and when he returned, the religious authorities summoned him to the mosque and told him that he must stop his teaching. There was a quiet time for a few months, but it wasn't long before he moved to my brother's house and told Khadija that it was for our safety. I worried, but there was very little that we could find out. The religious affairs of men were not allowed for women. We knew very little. Not long after, we heard that he had been arrested. The Baha'u'llah, the manifestation that the Bab had been sent to pave the way for, sent 2 teachers to tell me about my son's station, that he was the promised one. It was a year later that we found out that the Bab had been martyred. Oh, I was in such pain. I am still in such pain, knowing how I wanted to have been there with him in Tabriz.
Yes, as his wife and a childhood friend, I bear witness that he is in truth the promised one. I realized his station when one night I found him absent. When the time lengthened to more than an hour, I felt some concern. I looked for him, but he was nowhere to be found. I walked to the western side of the house and looked up at the rooftop and saw that the upper chamber was well lit. I went up the steps, and there he was in that chamber, his hands raised heavenwards, intoning a prayer in the most melodious voice, tears streaming down his face, and his face was luminous, with rays of light radiating from it. He looked so majestic and transcendent that I could neither enter the room nor retrace my steps. I stood there trembling and transfixed, and I lost my willpower. I was at the point of screaming when he made a gesture with his hand, telling me to go back. This movement of his blessed hand gave me back the courage to go back to my room and to my bed. Sleep was impossible, and the coming dawn was foreboding. At sunrise, he went to his mother's room for tea. I followed him there, and as soon as my eyes fell on him, the same attitude and majesty that I had witnessed the night before took shape before me. He raised his face to me, and with great kindness asked me to sit beside him. Then he offered me what was left of the tea from his own cup, which I drank. Very gently, he asked what was troubling me, to which I replied, "You are no longer the same person I know from our childhood. We grew up together, and we have been married for 2 years, living in this house. And now I see a different person before me. You have been transformed, and it makes me anxious and uneasy." He smiled, and he told me that although he wished I hadn't seen him in the condition of the previous night, God had ordained otherwise. "It was the will of God," he said, "that you should know with absolute certitude that I am the promised one. I am the manifestation of God, whose advent has been evoked for 1,000 years. This light radiates from my heart and from my being." As soon as I heard him speak these words, I believed in him. And from that moment, I have dedicated my life to service to him, with no thought of myself ever intruding.
But can you imagine how I felt after I had found him, after my long and arduous search? Oh, that night, that historical moment at your home, when he declared himself the promised one. I remember his radiant face and his blessed hand as he took his pen and chanted the verses as he was writing them down. I'd never seen anything like that from anyone else. Wow, what a melodious voice he had.
I saw His Holiness the Bab in my dream. I never had this chance in my earthly life to visit him face to face. I believed in him and left my home, my family, and my children to prove that he was the promised one, whom all the people were waiting for his coming. I obeyed him and broke all the rules of the past in Badasht by the removing of my veil. By God, whose my life is in his hands, this is the new era. This is the time when humanity, the earth, and its people enter into a new age. This is only the beginning of this golden age, when His Majesty will sit on his throne and will establish peace and justice amongst his children. That day is not too far.
Can you guess, Mullah Hussein, what has happened? Tahereh, do you know what he told me last night? Khadija Khanum, your husband would not be alone at that moment.
At what moment? What is happening to him?
The moment I have been waiting for a long time. The moment of sacrifice, drinking from the cup of martyrdom.
Oh God! I feared this moment would come. I knew it would come, but today? My dear one, the Bob. He's only 31 years old. For what sin has he to be punished? For what wrong act is his blood going to be shed?
Open your eyes, people. Open your eyes, O people of the earth, and observe the truth, the true one who is going to be crucified. You have seen Christ on the cross, and again, the Bab.
Mullah Hussein, you don't know. I shed tears and tears and more tears. I was so overcome with emotion that I have seemed to have lost consciousness. Suddenly I heard a voice. I knew it was the voice of the Bab. He was calling me. Anis Zanusi, arise, arise. I saw the majesty of his face as he appeared before me. He smiled as he looked into my eyes. I rushed forward and flung myself at his feet. Be happy, he said. In this very city of Tabriz, I shall be suspended before the eyes of the multitude, and fall a victim to the fire of the enemy. I shall choose no one except you to share with me the cup of martyrdom. Khadija, be happy, be happy. He shall not be alone. I shall hold his body so bullets touch my body first. I shall embrace him so tightly that my head, my feet, my legs shall turn to pieces, but not his. I shall not let any pain or enemy hurt his delicate body or radiant face. I shall be with him forever.
I have finished my conversation with Sayyid Hussein. Now you may proceed to fulfill your intention.
O wayward generation,
Had you believed in me, every one of you would have followed the example of this youth, Anis, who stood in rank above most of you, and willingly would have sacrificed himself in my path.
The day will come when you will have recognized me.
That day I shall have ceased to be with you.
Agha Jan Khan Khamse, give the command to fire.
Regiment 1, ready, fire! Regiment 2, ready, fire! Regiment 3, ready, fire!
But one thing does not change through all the
be with him today. I wanna 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 be with him today. Why must we share the only ones? Why must we share the gentle ones? Why must we sacrifice the price time and again? Is it fear? Is it fear? What we do not know. I wanna be with him today. 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 I wanna be with him today.
Its only parallel in the crucifixion of Christ 18 centuries earlier. Before a
multitude of 10,000 people,
a man called the Bob. We screwed up. I think we should do this again.
Okay.
I screwed up.
It's done. It's done. Just don't
Tabriz.
19th century.
Tabriz.
1850.
Manifestation of God.
Tabriz.
the promised one,
18th century.
Tabriz.
1850, was
Tabriz.
executed.
Persia.
July 9,
The Bab.
1850.
Noon.
July 9,
1850.
Tabriz.
Persia.
The Bab
The manifestation of God.
the promised one,
was executed.
We gotta do that. We should probably.
Yeah.
You guys can, this is as far as you can go. You guys gotta squeeze in here.
Like
Just
semi,
squeeze.
Like
semi,
when you go, when she stands there, squeeze with her. Touch it. There you go.
So
So
we're
touch
gonna
it and
start
then
it
touch it
again.
and then touch
1, 2, after 5 seconds coming.
Oh.
1, 2, 3.
You have asked of some particular person, the founder of the sect Babis. He had no. I screwed up. I got the word. He had no trans.
Microphone بگیر بالا. Okay,
It's
ready?
the first time I forget this word. He had no trans.
Ready?
Yeah.
When you're ready, let me know.
Okay, yeah.
1, 2, 3. No, just wait.
شما برید تو پول دیگه.
Okay, ready? 1, 2. نمیری؟ برو. Stand by. 1, 2, 3.
religious affairs. We tried to find things out. A year later, we found out that he had been martyred. Baha'u'llah sent 2 teachers to me to tell me of the station of my son.
1.
I went up the steps, and there he was in that chamber, hands raised heavenwards, intoning a prayer in the most melodious voice, tears streaming down his face, and his face was luminous, rays of light radiating from it. He looked so majestic and transcendent. Oh my gosh, sorry.
Okay. So Leah, when you come in standing here, just stand here. Here, okay? So you ready? One.
When I'm done, where do you want me to stand? Here?
Yeah. Here is good. Or you can a little bit back like there. Close to Leah. Very good.
Okay. Because when Anis comes and he's talking, he'll be like in between us.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't watch. 1, 2, 3.
The promised one.
Sorry, Azaba.
Sure.
So you have to say louder.
You sure?
Yes, yes.
Have you looked at the levels?
Yes, louder. Okay? You ready? 1.
Not a very sensitive mic, I guess. But can you imagine
So,
how I...
one more time, because microphone is showing in Sorry.
Technical
You ready?
It's alright.
1.
I never had the chance in my earthly life to visit him face to face. I saw him in my dream. Oh, I messed that up. That's all right.
1, 2.
Khadija, be happy, be happy. He shall not be alone. I shall be with him. I shall hold him. I messed up. I have to redo this. So do I go from
Your head down.
So it would be
do I go from the beginning where I talked to Mullah Hussein?
Yeah.
Yes. So go out of the stage and again back.
No, he's on stage. He's on stage because Jinan and I said something.
Okay. Stage and then start the stage. Just don't move, okay?
I shall hold him so my head. I messed up.
You want to read your lines?
You have to say louder.
I mixed up like the two lines.
If you mix it up, just go with it. It doesn't matter.
It's okay. But say louder, please. Make up. And it's slow. And it's slow.
Yeah.
Louder and slow. Okay? Then I say 3. After 5 seconds, stop.
Okay.
1, 2. Your head down. 1, 2, 3.
Mullah Hussein.
No. You have
Give
to
it a second.
stay 5 seconds because I need the time for it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm gonna stay here.
And then we really gotta squish, boys and girls.
So you ready? What's up? Everyone ready?
Sort of.
When I said 3, 1, 2, 3, after 5 seconds, can come inside. You can see yourself. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, wayward generation.
Hold on.
Cut!
Yeah, that's supposed
So
to be.
go out, and again come back.
What did he do?
So
He
not
came
now.
and
After
used
the
it.
gun, you're supposed to come.
After the gun.
After the gun. Not now. Okay. Ready?
No giggling.
Go.
Okay,
1,
serious.
2, 3.
Tears flowed like rain that night. That night they took his life, and people gathered around to see had he really died. The stars fell and the angels wept. The earth opened up her side with 750 guns, and on his face a smile, and how they tried to conquer what they could not understand.